Hi, I'm Dr. Judy Morgan, author and veterinarian. Today's question, to spay or not to spay? For years, veterinarians have been recommending that pets be spayed or neutered at 6 months of age. I'm not really sure why we picked that time, seems a little arbitrary, but what I have always said is that we'll do the females at 6 months before they come into their first heat, so that pet owners do not have to deal with the heat cycle of a dog bleeding all over the house and causing a big mess and attracting males. Seemed to make sense. However, recent research using large groups of dogs, golden retrievers, and Rottweilers, because there's a lot of them around, has shown that allowing these pets to remain intact seems to offer some protection to their bodies against bone diseases and against cancers later in life. So we need to rethink what we are recommending and how we are doing things. So the new thinking is that leaving males intact and possibly for their entire life will protect them against a lot of cancers. Prostate cancer is actually more common in neutered males than it is in unneutered males. However, if we do not neuter males, then we have a couple of problems. One, population control, which means we need to have responsible pet owners who are not allowing their unneutered males to roam at large. And two, unwanted behaviors. So barking can occur whether or not the pet is neutered. I have an older neutered male who was used as a breeding male for many, many years in the puppy mills. And let me tell you, that little man marks everything he comes across. So neutering later in life will probably not get rid of that behavior. Neutering early in life does not guarantee that you won't have that behavior and the other unwanted male behaviors that go along with that. So for the boys, if you can keep your boys out of trouble and from breeding females that you don't want bred, then leaving them intact seems to be a better way to go. For the females, allowing them to go through at least a couple of heat cycles seems to offer some protection. Now here's the problem with not spaying your females. As they get older, their incidence of mammary cancer does go up with every heat cycle that they go through. However, allowing them to go through the first few heat cycles doesn't make a dramatic change. But it does seem to protect them, particularly the larger breeds, against some of the other cancers like osteosarcoma and hemangiosarcoma and some of those bad ones that we really don't want to have to deal with. Leaving them intact for 2 years does not guarantee that they won't develop those cancers, but it may offer some protection. Now, by leaving your female intact, that means you need to be a responsible pet parent. You need to know when your dog is in heat, and you need to protect her from the boys in the neighborhood, because they will try to go in, under, over, and around your fence to get into your yard. So protect your girls. The other thing that you have to worry about with leaving your female intact for a longer period of time is something called pyometra. Pyometra is an infection in the uterus, and it usually shows up 6 to 8 weeks after a female is in heat. And the reason is that when she's in heat, her cervix is open, and so that can allow bacteria to get up into the uterus. Once the cervix closes after the heat, the bacteria start to fester in there and grow and multiply, and then you get this nice big infection going on in there. Signs to watch for would include increased drinking, decreased appetite, fever, lethargy, possibly vomiting. So if you see any of that 6 to 8 weeks after your female is in heat, make sure to get to your veterinarian. You may or may not see a discharge. So by keeping your females and males intact a little bit longer, you may protect them from some diseases later in life. However, that you do have to watch for other problems, and you do need to keep your pets from breeding willy-nilly. Population control is still a big problem in this country. In European countries, pets are allowed to remain intact, and people are responsible pet owners, and it's not near the problem that we have in this country. So for your pet's health, if you're a responsible pet owner, you may want to think twice about the early spay-neuter. And for those who adopt from shelters, I applaud you. And I do understand that the shelters do not want to adopt pets out that are not spayed or neutered. Our local shelter found that only 33% of people brought their pets back for spay or neuter, even if they prepaid for that spay or neuter. So now their policy is all pets will be spayed or neutered before leaving the shelter, even if they're done at 8 to 12 weeks of age. I think that's way too early. I think we're getting problems later in life, but that's the joys of shelter medicine. And if people could be responsible, we wouldn't have these problems. So Keep your pets safe and healthy. If you want more information about the studies that were done and about when to spay or neuter your pet, please get a copy of my book, From Needles to Natural. It's available on my website, www.drjudymorgan.com, and also on Amazon. Thanks for tuning in.